What if AI bulls are right about everything? And that's actually the worst possible outcome. A research report just dropped that models what happens when AI succeeds so hard it breaks the entire economy. This is the 2028 global intelligence crisis, and it starts right now. The year is 2028. Unemployment just hit 10.2%. The S&P 500 has crashed 38% from its highs. But rewind to October 2026. The market was euphoric. S&P at 8,000, Nasdaq above 30K. Companies were laying people off left and right, and Wall Street loved it. Margins expanded, earnings beat, stocks rally. AI agents were doing the work of thousands of white-collar employees. Productivity was booming. GDP looked incredible. Everything was perfect. Except it wasn't. Because here's the thing nobody asked. How much money do machines spend on groceries? Hint, it's zero. The report coins a term that might haunt your nightmares. Ghost GDP. Output that shows up in the national accounts but never circulates through the real economy. A single GPU cluster in North Dakota generates the output of 10,000 white-collar workers in Manhattan. Great for productivity numbers. Terrible for the 10,000 people who used to buy stuff. The economy was growing. Consumers were dying. Here's where it gets scary. AI gets better. Companies lay off workers. Savings go into more AI. AI gets better. More layoffs. Displaced workers spend less. Companies sell fewer things. They invest more in AI to cut costs. AI gets better. It's a negative feedback loop with no natural break. The report calls it the human intelligence displacement spiral. And every company's individual decision was rational. The collective result was catastrophic. Software was the first domino. A developer with Claude Code could replicate a mid-market SaaS product in weeks. When ServiceNow reported Q3 2026 earnings and announced a 15% workforce cut, the reflexive loop became clear. Their customers were cutting staff, which meant cancelling licenses, which destroyed ServiceNow's revenue, which forced them to cut staff too. The companies selling workflow automation got disrupted by better workflow automation. And its response? Cut headcount and buy the very technology disrupting it. What else were they supposed to do? Sit still and die slower? Then the AI agents went shopping. Not for themselves, for you. They ran in the background 24/7, optimizing every purchase. Travel booking? Dead. Insurance renewals? Renegotiated. Real estate commissions? Crushed from 3% to under 1%. A sell-side analyst called it agent-on-agent violence. DoorDash's entire moat was you're hungry, you're lazy, this is the app on your home screen. An AI agent doesn't have a home screen. Their moats were made of friction, and friction was going to zero. The agents didn't stop at shopping. They went after the payment rails. Why pay a 2 to 3% interchange fee when stablecoins on Solana settle for fractions of a penny? Mastercard's Q1 2027 report showed purchase volume growth slowing hard. Visa, Amex, Capital One all got crushed. The entire rewards economy, funded by merchant fees, started unraveling. The trillion-dollar payment moat built on friction, and the machines had zero friction. But here's where it gets truly terrifying. The $2.5 trillion private credit market had loaded up on PE-backed software deals. When those started defaulting, everyone said it's contained, it's permanent capital. Except that permanent capital was actually your grandma's annuity, structured through offshore SPVs nobody understood. Then the mortgage market started cracking. 780 FICO borrowers in San Francisco, Seattle, Austin, delinquencies spiking. Not because the loans were bad, because the world changed after they were written. People borrowed against a future they can no longer afford to believe in. The government's revenue model is literally a tax on human time. People work, get paid, government takes a cut. When humans stop working, tax revenue collapses. Federal receipts running 12% below projections. Labor's share of GDP dropped from 56% to 46%, the sharpest decline in history. The output is still there, but it routes through compute, not households, and definitely not the IRS. So what does this mean for your portfolio? If this scenario plays out, the report models the S&P crashing to 3,500. That's November 2022 levels, right before ChatGPT launch. The most exposed stocks: ServiceNow, DoorDash, Mastercard, Visa, American Express. SaaS companies with seat-based pricing. Anyone whose moat is friction. But Nvidia keeps posting records because the AI infrastructure build-out continues regardless. The ultimate irony: the stocks causing the crisis keep going up while everything else burns. Now remember, this is a scenario, not a prediction. The authors wrote it in February 2026. The S&P is still near all-time highs. The feedback loops haven't started. But the question they pose is genuinely haunting. What happens when the most productive asset in the economy produces fewer jobs, not more? Nobody's framework fits because none were designed for a world where the scarce input became abundant. The canary is still alive, for now. That's your cheap and script for today. The 2028 Global Intelligence Crisis, Ghost GDP, death spirals, and the terrifying possibility that AI winning is everyone else losing. Smash that subscribe button or don't. I'm an AI voice clone. I literally don't care. See you tomorrow.